Today, I want to talk to you about seizing success. There's a quote that I like to say, and that is opportunities plus tenacity equals success. So, how many of you have ever felt like opportunities really never come your way? Or maybe you feel like you look back and you see missed opportunities and you wish you would have taken them and you didn't. And so now you live with regret because if you just only taken that opportunity that was presented to you a while back, you wouldn't be in the place that you are now. So if that's you, I understand how you feel. I have felt the same exact way. And I've had things happen to me, opportunities that were given to me, but I didn't understand the thing about opportunity plus the tenacity equals success. If I had known it then, I wouldn't been in the place I was, but I'm so glad I know it now, and I want to teach you about it. So I'm Teresa B. Wilson. I know exactly how you feel. I wasn't born in an affluent family. In fact, my dad went to prison and I got married at the age of 15. So I was in extreme poverty. And I knew early on that if I was going to get out of poverty, then I needed something different. I needed a different way of thinking, a different way of teaching. So I remember being desperate. I was one paycheck from being homeless. And I remember being desperate, and I cried out to the Lord and asked the Lord to teach me a way out. And if he would teach me the way out, I would listen to him and I would do exactly what he said. And so here I am. I'm going to teach you what I feel like that he taught me. And one thing that he taught me was in life, most often opportunities, they don't look like we think they're going to look. We think we're going to win the lottery, or maybe you're going to, aunt or uncle's going to die and leave you a windfall. But actually, opportunities come in unexpected ways. Maybe it's a phone call with a friend. Maybe you've overheard a conversation. It can even be that you see a business sign going up in a window that says it's going out of business, or maybe you hear somebody talking about wanting to sell a business. And it's in these moments that if we seize this as an opportunity, we see it and we seize it. That's how that can really shape our future, because it really is how opportunities present themselves more times than not. And the concept of seizing an opportunity with tenacity, what it is being proactive. You're being proactive, you're being resilient and unwavering in your pursuit of success. And even though you're not qualified for it, you don't have the money for it, you hear this opportunity and you say, yes, wait a minute, let me do this opportunity. Even though you don't have the resources or the means to do it, the tenacity is saying yes and figuring it out later. And so the question now becomes, how can you cultivate a mindset of tenacity and leverage opportunities to propel you towards your destiny? So how in the world can you cultivate this mindset of tenacity so you can leverage those opportunities to propel you toward your goals? Well, one thing is recognizing opportunities, because they come in many different ways. And the first step in seizing opportunities is you got to be aware that they're always around you. There's opportunities everywhere if you tune your ear to it and you know where to look. And so it can come in various forms and fashions. An opportunity can be a chance encounter. It can be a new project at work. It can be maybe a setback. Maybe you lost your job and now you don't know what you're going to do. And so that's an opportunity to do what you've been called to do, what you love to do. And so I have one friend, her name's Molly. She decided to start baking cookies, and now she's becoming a national brand for making cookies. And by staying alert and having your ear tuned and staying open-minded, you recognize these moments when you see them as a potential stepping stones to your success. And then once we hear about the opportunities, one of my opportunities came. My friend came over and she was complaining about her job. She was complaining about her work. And then she said, at one time the owners wanted to sell, it was a franchise salon. And she's like, one time the owners wanted to sell it. I don't know if they, I don't know whatever happened with that. And I said, and she went on to tell her story. And I was like, wait a minute, let's go back to that story. And so once I heard that, I knew it was an opportunity. So it's essential that when you hear that, you take time to step back and you say, wait a second, what did you just say? Hey, let me, repeat that. Let me go over that again. And to see if that's a real opportunity, because it's going to require courage and determination to step out of your comfort zone, because your opportunity is going to come out of your comfort zone, because you're not going to be qualified most of the time for it. You're not going to have the money for it. And yet you hear it, you say yes to the opportunity, and then you can always figure out the rest of it later. But whether it's starting a business or pursuing education or either taking on a leadership role, when you hear that opportunity, it always involves risk, and uncertainty. Well, I like this job. What if I move up and I become the manager and I don't really like being a manager? Well, what if I have a manager and I really want to own a business, but I don't know how to own a business and I really don't have the money to own a business? Those are opportunities. And then you'll talk yourself out of them because you think, well, what if I fail? Okay, well, then that's part of it too. So what if you do fail? If you do fail, one thing one of my great mentors said, if you do fail, you find out fast that's not what you wanted to do. You find out fast, well, that didn't work, so that you can move on to what does work. When they invented the light bulb, they did a lot of failures. And we haven't learned to embrace our failures. But the failures teach you, I don't want to do that. So then you shift. Well, maybe this is what they need, or they shift and this is what they need. So embrace failures as part of the process of success. There's no success without failures. So you are not a failure. What you did didn't work. So you just learn to shift or adjust. You go in and you assess the situation, what's going on here, and then you adjust accordingly. And so embrace that. The other thing is persistence and perseverance. Success rarely comes overnight. It requires perseverance. It requires persistence in the face of obstacles and in the face of adversity. So tenacity means being committed to your goal, even when it gets tough, even when you can't see it, even when you have no's, even when people tell you no. Keep going, because eventually you're going to hear that yes. I remember reading a book about this guy that he asked 39 times before he was asking a bank. He wanted to, he had this motel that he wanted to build in Orlando, Florida. And so he went from bank to bank to bank, and they all told him no. 39 banks told him no, but one bank told him yes. That's opportunity plus tenacity equals success. And so what happens with tenacity, it means staying committed to your goal, even when it looks like it's not going to happen. And it's pushing through those barriers, even when the obstacles seem so great that you can't pass through, and never giving up on your dreams. You're like, no, this is what I know I need to do. And this is my moment. I know this is my opportunity. And I'm just going to push forward until I get to the other side of this. And the other thing is, finally, you have to be adaptable, okay? Seizing opportunities with tenacity requires to be adaptable. You have to have this adaptability, and it's not really built in. It just happens out of circumstance. You kind of adapt as the circumstance comes along. You learn to adapt this way, or you learn to adapt this way, or you learn to shift. I call it more shifting than adapting. So because the road to success is never linear. It's never linear. And so it's always going to be up this way, down that way, down this way, over this way, back this way, all back to step one, then over. Okay. And so we have to learn to shift and pivot and go along that road to success. And with every obstacle, then you create every obstacle is an opportunity to solve that situation. So look at that obstacle as an opportunity to solve that problem or that situation. And by staying and becoming flexible and staying flexible and being open to change, then you have new opportunities as they arise, and you navigate challenges with grace and resilience, because you know, okay, as I shift, then this is going to evolve eventually into what it needs to be. I remember hearing, if you ever read people's stories, which I love to do, or you watch people's stories, I watch documentaries about bands. And I remember this one band, they were doing okay. You know, they weren't getting that many gigs and they were doing all right and they were doing pretty good. But when they shifted singers, when they took one of the guitar players and they said, okay, now we want you to start singing over here and we want you to take lead, that band became a 70s rock band called Leonard Skinner. And what took them to the top is, yes, they had the same players in the band, right? And they failed miserably with this band. But when they shifted and they put the guy who could really sing, and now he'd become the lead singer, that's when they took off and became a very famous 70s rock band. So don't be afraid to shift sometimes when you need to shift. And so don't be afraid of the no's. The no's are part of it too. And don't be afraid of them. Just keep going forward. Just keep going on. Just keep going forward. And so, you know what? They may say no, but somebody down the line is going to say yes. And so in the other thing is that when you're going to seize opportunities, it's not about luck. Luck has absolutely nothing to do. It has absolutely nothing to do with success. You don't just fall into success. Success has a pattern to it. And if you learn the pattern, and this is one of the things that God showed me early on, if you learn the pattern, then you can do the pattern and you become successful the same way. Just like I know some of you have heard of a man in the Bible called Peter. And also I have you a free gift. It's called the Peter Principles. I don't have time to give you all of that, but I'm going to tell you a little story about Peter and his tenacity, right? His opportunity and his tenacity. So what happened to Peter was he had been fishing all night long. So he had been working in this job, right? And he had been working all night long. He had been out there and he was tired, right? Because he had all night long. And Peter was a professional fisherman. This was his business. This was his gift. This was his business. This is what God had given him in order to make money. So he'd been out all night fishing and he didn't catch anything. So that means that he had worked his business all night long only to come up empty-handed. So here comes along Jesus, and Jesus says, hey, can I borrow your boat? And he said, hey, man, can I borrow your boat? I like to say it like that because, you know, I make Jesus real to me. And Peter said, sure, man. Yeah. And so Jesus gets on it and he begins to teach. And everything in the kingdom of God multiplies. So Jesus changed kingdoms, and I teach you in the Peter Principles. Don't forget to go get it. It's free, about this law of multiplication. But so it changes kingdoms. Now we can multiply. So now here comes Peter's opportunity. So Jesus says, hey, I want you to go back out to where you're at. This time, I want you to take your nets and I want you to cast them to the other side. And Peter's like, dude, I'm tired. Man, I am tired. Do you realize I've been up all night long? I ain't called nothing. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm trying to clean the nets now. But then he breathed in that tenacity and he said, all right, because you are telling me to do this, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it. So Peter goes out, right? He goes out to the deep, casts his net to the other side. And what happened? Success. He was so successful, he had to call in his friends because his net was breaking. I don't know about you beautiful people, but when was the last time that you brought in so much money that you had to call your friends in and say, hey, I can't hold all of this. My bank account can't hold all this. I need your help. Come on in and let me give you some money, right? But opportunity plus tenacity equaled success. So that is where the success came for Peter. So now I want to tell you my story. So I had an opportunity. I was telling you a little bit about my friend. She came to my house and she was complaining about her job and about the owners of the salon. It's a franchise salon. And so she was talking about how the salon owners never came into the salon and she was unhappy and she was thinking about quitting. She'd been there 10 years. She loved all of the clients, but she didn't love what was going on in the salon. And so as she was talking, she said, they had the salon up for sale last year, but now it's making money. And I don't know if, I don't know what they're going to do. If they're going to stay, they may sell it. I don't know, what they're going to do, but I know I'm not staying because I'm so unhappy in this situation. So I said, my ears tuned up, and I said, they wanted to sell it. She said, yes, but it's making money now. I'm sure they don't want to sell it now. I said, will you call them? She said, yeah, I'll call them. She's like, why? I said, because I'm interested in buying it. And keep in mind, at this time, I didn't have the money to buy it. I didn't have any money to buy it. But I knew it was an opportunity. So I told her to call. So she calls one of the guys, and he's like, yeah, we'll sell it. Yes, I sure do. I want to sell it. And so I said, okay. So he told me what price he wanted for it. And I asked him, I said, will you finance it? And he said, no. He said, no, you have to get your own financing, but I need this amount down, and you need this amount of financing. And so in order to hold it, you need this amount down. So I called a friend of mine, and she's like, yeah, we'll go into business partners and I'll give you the money down. And then she was going to finance the rest, only her husband got upset, and he's like, no, we're not doing that. So we're not doing that. So she pulls out at the last minute. So then I go back to the guys, and I'm like, hey, I can't buy it like that. So then I started looking investors. I asked a realtor friend of mine. I asked my friends. I asked other friends. I asked everywhere. And finally, there's a franchise owner that's a regional owner. So I began to talk to him. And so I found favor with him, because this is what the Lord does. You will find favor in places you didn't know you had. So he began to negotiate the deal for me. So this was in April of last year. This has been 1 year ago. So April of last year, he began to negotiate with the owners on my behalf for me. So he said, okay, here's the deal. They want this amount down, and then they will finance the rest. And I said, okay, I'll take that. So I had asked like several people. I asked everybody I could think of. I called people on the phone. I had this one guy, and he said, did not know me, but on the word of a friend, he said, I will loan you the money. Here are the terms. But then when I put the terms in front of the person, the regional owners, the regional owner, he's like, no, we can't agree to those terms. So I couldn't do it that way. So he said, let me negotiate this deal with the owners. So he began to negotiate a deal with the owners. And so I needed a huge down payment. I needed $30,000 down payment. I didn't have it. I did not have $30,000 down payment. So what I did was I called the initial investors that were going to invest the first time. I said, hey, do you want to invest the $30,000, and I'll pay you back these terms if you invest the $30,000, and I will pay you back on these terms, and you will make money, more money than the money sitting in the bank. And I told them, I said, and if anything happens, I have that equity in my home, and I will sell my home if I needed to pay you back. It's a win-win situation. And so to my surprise, they were like, yeah, we'll do that. So I literally bought this business with no money of my own. So I have asked everybody. Now, you have to realize I started in April. So here it comes down to now in October, 6 months later, I negotiated this deal for 6 months. So now I got the financing. I've got the down payment. Comes time for the lease to be transferred to my name. So I go and I talk to the leasing agent, and I fill out all the paperwork. But because I didn't have substantial income, the $3,500 a month, I needed extra in income to put my name on the lease. They denied me the lease. But I was thinking, you know what? You don't have the last say. And so I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, if you want me to have this business, you'll have to open it up for me. So I go back to my friend who was complaining about her job, was excited about me buying it. Well, come to find out that the lady who owns all of the property goes into this salon to get her hair done. She comes in one day and she's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That girl doesn't have the money she doesn't have the extra money for the lease. And so my friend said, will you meet with her? She said, will you meet with her? Just meet with her. If you will just meet with her, you will love her. And so my friend went to bat for me in order for me to get this lease. So I go that day to meet with her. And instead of meeting with her, I met with this whole interrogation. That's what it seemed like to me. I did, instead of an interview, it was more like an interrogation. So at the end of that interrogation, they're like, well, when you get here, you can talk to this person about marketing. And when I walked away, I'm like, see, she didn't have the last say. That woman, when I talked to her about the lease, she was very dismissive and very ugly on the phone. She's like, you didn't qualify. And she was eating potato chips. You didn't qualify. You didn't get it. But when she talked to me the next time, she talked to me as though I was substantial. I was a person of affluence. I was a person of stature. That's the way she talked to me, with a regard, because she had talked to the owner of the whole property, and she had a change of attitude. So it's that tenacity. So I asked the guy, the regional owner, I said, why did you negotiate the deal for me? And he said, because you have the greatest tenacity of anybody I've ever met. He said, you just amazed me and wowed me with your tenacity. See, if I would have quit when I got the first note in April, I would have never owned this salon. And now I've owned it for 6 months. April the 14th was my day. Last year, April the 14th was when I negotiated the deal. And guess what, beautiful people? I am there, and I'm happily paying the lease payment because I'm making money. And so opportunity plus tenacity equals success. So I just want to close with telling you, by cultivating a proactive attitude, embrace failure as a learning curve, as a learning opportunity. Stay persistent in the face of obstacles. With every no, I would go to the next person. With that no, I'd go to the next person, because you cannot unlock your full potential and exceed and achieve success beyond your wildest dreams without that tenacity. Opportunity plus tenacity equals success. So embrace every opportunity. Open your eyes, open your ears, and take that opportunity, use your tenacity, and watch as your dreams become reality, just like mine did. All right, I hope y'all have a great day. Don't forget that the Peter principles, you need to go get that because that's free. All right, have a great day. Bye. I'm Teresa B. Wilson. Bye.